We'd never be cowed by authority. Except, of course, in this instance, when I'm clearly right and you were clearly wrong.
Hello, I'm the Angry Spork. This being the 10th season, it makes sense that we should look at the biggest crossover to hit the comic shelves. But since I already reviewed JLA Avengers, let's go to a prequel to the video game Warner Smash Brothers. I'm taking issue with MULTIVERSUS Collision Detected, with the unlikeliest combination of characters this side of a 1990s anti-drug PSA. Written by Brian Q. Miller, with art by John Somariva and Matt Herms, let's begin with issue number 1 and see if these comics make us want to turn the page or turn our heads. The cover is a nice mix of DC's Trinity, legendary cartoon stars like Bugs Bunny and Scooby-Doo, and modern icons like Finn the Human and Steven Universe. Man, I can't wait to see what Craig of the Creek brings to the table. We begin with two kids in a treehouse playing a fighting game featuring Batman and Superman. Madison is more concerned with the fun of the game, while Dylan asks if there's a story to explain why hero buddies would fight. Outside, another child silently watches from the ground before walking off with a duffel bag.
Why won't anyone tell me what's happening? Why would anyone pay 99 cents for the jar of peach tea DLC?
Elsewhere, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman are each inside some strange, alien-looking structure, unsure how they ended up there. Powers ineffectual. No sounds from footsteps or smell in the air. The flames make no heat, nor do they obey any kind of conventional physics.
In this house, we obey the laws of thermodynamics!
They're suddenly blinded by an intense light, after which Clark wakes up in bed, having used heat vision to burn an image into the wall. A small humanoid with a star in the center of its body.
Hey, Smallville, what you dreaming about? Was it the Funko Pop nightmare again?
Their heads are the same size as their bodies, with eyes like portals to an endless void. Later at the Daily Planet, Clark mentions having found no record of anything matching that glyph within the vast records of the Fortress of Solitude, and a simple image search on the internet isn't any better. Something like this tends to be a precursor to something really bad, and the farm boy would rather handle it himself without troubling his teammates if he can, not considering they would understand. Lois confirms they had visions too, because she hasn't been removed from the group chat. What's a group chat? Lois, you know I'm a traditional guy. I believe conversations are only for one man and one woman. What did this star child of yours look like, Superman? Are we or are we not dealing with the Kiss Army? Each of our three heroes are discussing their strange dreams over comms, a couple while dealing with enemies. A little reckless of Diana to call Bats by his real name, but moving on. Her glyph was different, resembling a witch, while Bruce's resembles a rabbit, which he apparently sketched several times. And I don't even remember drawing them. That's what happens when you fall asleep reading Of Mice and Men. He hasn't seen any long-eared rodents, because, today's Reptile Day, and Wendy doesn't think that her omen relates to her nemesis Circe, since the runic image she painted in her sleep doesn't quite match her style. Yeah, I always saw Circe as a beret kind of gal myself. Superman, who's been in the upper atmosphere this whole time, begins seeing runes all around him, before suddenly feeling unwell.
Look out at the corner of 12th and Main because I'm gonna be sick. Whoop!
Oh, and calling him Clark while fighting Killer Croc? Really, Bruce, you of all people should know better than that. And maybe that's why they all get surges of pain, reminding them not to use their civilian names out in the open like that. Or, something magic glyphs. Soups falls to the earth while Bats and Diana are now vulnerable to the villains they were fighting, but before receiving any fatal strikes, their eyes glow with their respective sigils. This new season of Power Rangers is really taking some chances, I'll give it that much. They wake up in the middle of a street, poked at with a stick by Madison and Dylan, who realize these aren't simply boardwalk cosplayers when Batman breaks the twig, so they run off.
Figures those weirdos would be going to Avia's house anyway.
Yeah, those weirdos who save people every day, preventing the planet from being hit by meteors or overrun by evil demigods, all for the common good. What absolute freaks. Avia is the daughter of Big Barda and Scott Free, aka Mr. Miracle, whose New Jersey home the three have arrived at. They missed an hour of calls from Lois and Steve Trevor, so must have entered fugue states and carried on with their fights, like Diana restraining Cheetah with a lamppost and taking off. Batman's screen says no missed calls. Loads of people checking in on me too, so...
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Soups hears apocalyptian tech inside the domicile, and though that makes sense for a family from New Genesis, Bat suspects it's connected to those symbols, so tries kicking down the door for answers, until Diana stops him and rings the doorbell instead. Not fair, Wonder Woman. You know I get rusty if I don't kick down at least 5 doors a day. Avia answers, saying her parents aren't home, off dealing with something related to the source wall, when another voice is heard inside. The girl nervously shuts the door on the heroes, so Bats gets to kick down the door after all, asking about her friend and the device on the coffee table. Hearing a crunching noise inside the closet, they open it to see the rabbit from Batman's vision. Bugs Bunny.
What's up, Doc? One of you is Doc Savage, right?
Issue 2's cover has most of the same characters as the previous, but now with Harley Quinn added, all watched by the Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz, via her crystal ball. This new head of the Homeowners Association is a little intrusive if you ask me. Bugs is tied up in the garage, responding to Batman's interrogation with his usual witty retorts, and a leg-crossing reference to Basic Instinct. But this doesn't get them anywhere, and I kinda share Batsy's reaction to the rabbit doing this while eating a carrot with his ear, and never breaking eye contact. Alfred, get rid of all the carrots in the mansion. I'm not going to be able to eat them for a while. Never you mind why. Soups, meanwhile, is trying to get Avia to explain what happened, since they've already sent a message to her parents, who will receive it once they're back in range. He can detect if she's lying, but hopes that the hero's presence will make her feel safe enough to be honest. I mean, I made you cookies after all. With my eyes. Keep that to yourself, though. My super nemesis list basically goes Lex Luthor, Betty Crocker, and a distant third, everyone else. The girl explains her parents went to investigate a signal being emitted from beyond the source wall. Since there's not supposed to be anything on the other side of it, she got curious herself and eventually built a daughter box to scan for the signal. And it's basically like her own personalized mother box, the living supercomputers from New Genesis, which right now looks like it's playing MULTIVERSUS. Diana's biggest complaint is the lack of characters who were sculpted from clay before being brought to life, but she'll save that for the review on her YouTube channel. Makes sense that a kid nowadays might make a device that operates like a game console if they could. Nice touch. With the questioning complete, Soups asks if Batman's omen can be trusted. He repeatedly copped to being nothing more than a stinker. That, and a few wildly dated cultural misconceptions aside, he's benign.
Like a tumor?
It's not a tumor.
Bug says that he was spontaneously dropped into whatever realm the screen is currently showing, much as it looks like a game, then Avia did something that brought him to their world. However, despite it looking like Finn and Jake are battling Tom and Jerry, neither Avia nor Diana seem to actually be playing. The TV's been on someone's Let's Play stream this whole time. Kind of embarrassing for the world's greatest detective to not see that until now. The daughter box begins pinging rapidly, and while Bugs makes a hasty exit, the others brace themselves for what emerges, an intense beam of energy erupting from the house. I wonder if this counts as Independence Day being part of this crossover. Similarly to when Bugs arrived, according to Avia, the sky turns pink with circuitry-like imprints, and the Justice League's watchtower suddenly starts receiving numerous calls around the Earth. This probably means more visitors are likely on their way. So while the League is called together to respond, Batman will take the box to his cave to find out where these entities may be originating. He also doesn't want people to know he listens to slow jams to inspect alien technology to while he works. The Flash arrives at a Big Belly Burger restaurant in Central City, the location of an impact site, though police are already there. They've arrested the Condiment King, who was caught by a couple newcomers that appeared out of thin air, and have metabolisms that rival the speedsters. Flash makes his way through a grateful crowd to see who managed to stop Condiment King, Shaggy Rogers and Scooby-Doo, whose feasting upon their free meal of burgers and fries is enough to make Flash retch a little.
I can still see it when I shut my eyes.
You're not supposed to look directly at it.
Wendy is on her way to Gorilla City in her invisible jet, when Radar picks up the last bogies she ever expected to see, a gang of winged apes that start tearing her plane apart. With as long as she's been doing this, I would think that would have been one of the most expected sights to see, at least within the top 10.
I'll never find all the pieces.
I guess an off switch for the invisibility feature was an invention of Man's World. After felling one of the primates, she's shot from her 6 o'clock.
Only a big fat rat would shoot a guy in the back.
It's the Wicked Witch from Diana's Glyph, who intends to make this world her own Emerald Kingdom, while ordering the apes to fly the Amazon up and drop her to the ground over and over until they don't have to.
Here's an appealing fellow. In fact, they're appealing him off the sidewalk.
The apes don't get the chance when Wendy pulls the witch's broom away, only to get lassoed by the villainess's magic while they make introductions. A mighty headbutt frees the warrior, who demands the daughter of Hecate release the gorillas in her thrall. The witch isn't controlling them technically, she's controlling Gorilla Grodd, who is in turn controlling the others. Figures the Wicked Witch would need extra muscle ever since Big Bird scared her off Sesame Street. In Metropolis, Livewire and Parasite are preparing to make a meal out of Garnet and Steven Universe with some mildly distracting banter. Actually not sure if Rudy's absorption powers would work on Garnet, since technically her body is a hard light projection, though the crystal gems are alive, so it's possible that...
Nerd!
Anyway, Steven uses his shield to bounce Livewire's attack back at her when Superman arrives, asking if they'd like some help before he leads the charge, because his parents taught him good manners. From his cave, Batman radios that, much like I joked earlier, the game the daughter box is showing is actually a live feed from across the multiverse, the fighting they witnessed happening in real time.
I'm so sick of the multiverse.
Despite saying this was worse than they initially thought, it means there could be a way of sending these strangers back. That's when he's interrupted by a belching mechanical voice, wishing he hadn't figured that out, while ensnaring him in robotic tendrils. Dang it, Beast Boy spiked Cyborg's motor oil again. When his super hearing detects a new arrival, Superman calls time out on the fight, freezing the villains in place for a moment. A large object breaks through the clouds, revealing a huge vessel in the shape of Rick Sanchez's head.
Wubba lubba dub dub, Earth.
What does this mean for our heroes? What has become of the Dark Knight? What other cartoons might drop in on the DC Universe? Tune in next week for more. I'm the Angry Spork, and man, have I got issues.